everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. We spend a lot of time taking fascinating, completely out-of-the-box source materials and breaking them down into clear insights. And today, well, we are looking at a truly unique piece of literature. It literally reimagines one of the absolute foundational events in human history. We're going to examine a published interview with an alleged extraterrestrial entity, and as always, we're just impartially unpacking the text to really understand its profound and, let's be honest, highly unusual claims about our past.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because we really have to ask, what if the greatest miracle in history was actually a covert extraterrestrial rescue mission? I mean, that is the explosive central premise of the text we're analyzing today. The source material basically asks us to completely suspend our traditional understanding of the ancient world. It's proposing that the pivotal events of antiquity weren't driven by divine magic or even just human hands, but by highly advanced beings operating entirely behind the scenes. So it frames the ancient world not as some primitive era, but as an active intervention zone for cosmic entities.
So the text we're drawing from today is a published book known as Messages from Outer Space. It's a work that's deeply rooted in esoteric spiritual histories, dealing heavily with alleged extraterrestrial interviews and channeled entities. It essentially attempts to rewrite conventional history by introducing alien races, like the Pleiadians, the Reptilians, and others, as key players in Earth's development. Now, our goal today isn't to debate the reality of these claims, not at all. We just want to map out the fascinating internal logic of the book's narrative, specifically focusing on its most startling historical rewrite.
To do exactly that, we are jumping straight into Chapter 3. The title translates to The Vegan Who Resurrected Jesus. And yes, before you ask, that means an extraterrestrial being from the Vega star system, not someone who only eats a plant-based diet. In this chapter, the text presents an interview with the soul claiming to be directly responsible for orchestrating the central miracle of the Christian faith. It's a massive claim, obviously, so let's break down exactly who this entity is actually supposed to be.
Now, what's really interesting here is how incredibly specific the source text gets about the capabilities of these beings. According to the book, this entity originates from the Vega star system over in the Lyra constellation. The vegans are categorized as highly intelligent, but their defining characteristic in this whole narrative is their absolute mastery of advanced medical technology. They also allegedly possess the ability to transform their physical bodies totally freely, so essentially shapeshifting. Plus, the specific soul being interviewed is described as a complex body. This means it simultaneously holds two totally different types of alien souls. So this incredibly sophisticated shape-shifting medical expert is the exact lens through which the text asks us to view the events of the first century.
So the absolutely crucial point is how this entity supposedly intervened. The text lays out a timeline that honestly reads like a covert cosmic detective story. It starts in the first century with the historical crucifixion of Jesus Christ. But rather than a spiritual transition, the text claims a secret intervention took place. The vegans covertly took the physical, executed body of Jesus right aboard their spacecraft. Once they had him secured, they utilized their advanced medical technology, specifically described in the text as the application of advanced healing rays, to physically revive the body. Finally, Jesus is returned to Earth perfectly healthy, which orchestrates the historic miracle we all know as the resurrection.
The text makes this incredibly blunt, staggering claim. They literally say they resurrected the executed Jesus inside a spaceship. I mean, it is a profound genre clash. We are so used to envisioning the biblical era with these pastoral images, right? Sandals, robes, stone tombs, just a very ancient, low-technology world. So to suddenly inject spacecrafts, stealth extraction missions, and medical healing rays into that exact same setting, it creates a striking visual and conceptual contrast. The source text just completely overrides mystical theology with high-tech science fiction.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental shift the author is making here. Let's just compare the two interpretations side by side for a second. The traditional understanding frames the resurrection as this ultimate, divine, spiritual miracle, the Son of God demonstrating absolute spiritual power over physical death. But the source text claim, it reframes this entirely. It takes away the divine mystery and replaces it with a highly calculated technological procedure. In this version of history, the resurrection wasn't a triumph of the spirit, it was a triumph of vegan medical technology. It literally reduces a divine mystery to a highly successful alien medical procedure.
Now, naturally, this brings up the question of motive. Why would advanced beings from the Lyra constellation even care about an execution in 1st century Judea? Well, the text outlines a very specific 3-step mission. Step 1. The vegans rush to Earth and use their shape-shifting abilities to actually disguise themselves as disciples. Step 2. They use their advanced medical tech to perform what the locals perceived as miracles, like curing diseases. And Step 3, and really this is the ultimate goal here, they do all of this to protect the Savior and ensure the survival and expansion of Christianity into a global religion. According to the book, they were basically acting as cosmic guardians for Earth's spiritual development.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because get this incredible, high-tech rescue operation wasn't just an isolated incident. Nope, the text explicitly asserts that the vegans actually had a track record of doing this here on Earth. Which brings us to the Osiris connection. According to the text, thousands of years before the events in Judea, the vegans utilized this exact same life-restoring medical technology in ancient Egypt. They claim to have orchestrated the legendary resurrection of the Egyptian god Osiris. If you know the traditional myth, Osiris is murdered, his body is scattered, and he's magically put back together by the goddess Isis. But in the narrative of this text, that ancient myth was actually an early deployment of vegan healing rays and spacecraft intervention. The text is basically suggesting that all of our ancient stories of gods conquering death, they're actually just fragmented memories of extraterrestrial medical procedures.
And that leads us to our final thought for today. The source text we've explored is undeniably unconventional, right? It completely rewrites global religions through this highly specific sci-fi lens. But beyond the literal claims of vegans and spaceships, it forces us to ask a really deeply human question. Why do we continuously update our oldest myths with new, cosmic possibilities? Every generation seems to attempt to explain the unexplainable using the language and the concepts of their own era, whether that's magic, divine will, or in this case, advanced alien technology. Thanks so much for joining me in breaking down this fascinating text. Keep questioning the stories we're told, keep analyzing those sources, and I will see you in the next explainer.